During a lively International Fleet Hall of Fame debate, our 5 inductees shared their vision on hot topics impacting our fleet and mobility business, both today and tomorrow. We wrote down those topics on cards that we put in a box, and each inductee drew a card and shared his vision on that topic with the other experts. Get ready for the highlights.
I think one of the key things in this will be scale. You need to have the capacity and the budget to invest in technology. You need to be able to create mobility solutions. But I don't think anybody's going to build this architecture on their own. It's going to be about partnerships. It's going to be about manufacturers working with leasing companies, tech companies. If you take a tech company today, they don't have the ambition to build a full-service leasing product, create a car-sharing device, to fill their balance sheet up with vehicles. What they're interested in is the technology, and they need partners.
There are, in my opinion, 2 things that will not really change. Still, the vehicle has to be funded, has to be financed. Somebody has to do that, and then there is a provision of services to a driver, using an example, on all sort of things in between, that somebody has to take care of that. And that need will not stop.
I think Facebook is a kind of a business model which is intriguing, because clearly it's hard to find easily for us, at least in the business, in the B2B sector, what could be the use of Facebook. However, we have to recognize that our drivers are individuals, and I think the difficulty for us is to find the best use we can do of Facebook. And for the moment, I have to say I'm still a bit puzzled about how to use this media in terms of business.
The history of our industry has been business to business, essentially. So clearly we're moving more towards smaller corporates, SME and private individuals. So the role of social media will be more important. I think it's incumbent on us all now to follow these social medias, to understand what our customers want, to understand the complaints of the customers or the requirements of the customers who may make comments on any kind of social media.
Facebook or LinkedIn are areas where communication, good or bad, goes very quick to the market. So we need to be aware about what is said about the company in those social media too.
The environmental issues are going to be one of the main drivers in what's going to happen to mobility. I'm not so worried about congestion, honestly. I'm much more worried about emissions in that sense. Congestion, the market will self-balance, but the regulations that are limiting, in a way, perhaps the word limiting is not a nice one, but they're limiting the options, are going to be very strong, very different, going back to the outside markets of Europe.
Given the environmental issues, it's amazing that electrical cars have not moved faster really than it has, and given the will of governments, of everybody to move this forward.
I think the leasing companies have actually done extremely well, as have the manufacturers, in actually meeting the challenges. But that's limited by the infrastructure that's in place. And unless you mention governments that are willing, and I put willing in inverted commas because they talk a lot but they don't actually do a lot. And I think that we could see an awful lot more, if Paris really wants to move over to electric and get rid of diesels, then they should be putting in the facilities for people to be able to charge their cars.
I think it will be the cities that will trigger the pace.
Indeed.
Because clearly economy is not there. TCO doesn't speak for the electric vehicle. Today, if we face it, the TCO is still diesel, so full stop. I think for us in our mature industry, the difficulty and the challenge is to take the best of this creativity and take it to the large scale and internalize, in a way, this technology and this know-how and make it available to the wider audience of our client base.
We need to go to a further step where some rationalization will happen. And for the big companies, the point is to understand whether they have to copy them, to integrate them, to buy them.
I believe it always existed. technology gave it an authority. Perhaps the fanciness of a startup will stop, but startups will continue. I mean, if you look at the Fortune 500, you have a good percentage of companies that 10 years ago didn't exist. And that happened also if you looked at them in the 40s.
I think the move towards private individuals obliges us as companies to be better in terms of personal service, better in terms of, and that's not easy for a B2B provider, because you need to work on training, you need to work on culture, you need to have a customer service ethic in your organization.
In the past, let's say, the customer used to be the corporate clients. And then maybe we didn't even know at the time that we had users who are our drivers. And then our industry has discovered we should care about the drivers who are the users, while the formal customer is still the employer and the corporate organization. But I concur with you that in the future it's likely that the customer will become the driver himself.
And the customer has changed a little bit too. One of the things that happened to the industry the last 20 years is the internationalization of the business.
Mobility is more and more a service, so it's obvious that quality is necessary, and the competition in between the leaders will be on quality and the service that you offer to the driver and the passenger. So I think it's key.